The Last Echo. Hey folks, imagine this. A vast canvas of stars stretching out infinitely, like someone spilled glitter across a black velvet cloth. In the midst of this cosmic expanse drifts a solitary spaceship, the Aegis. It's not just any ship, it's a relic from a time when humanity confidently danced among the stars. Now, it's silent, floating with a kind of melancholic grace. The hull is battered, adorned with scorch marks and pitted from micrometeorite impacts. Panels are missing, and the once brilliant insignia of the Interstellar Alliance is faded and peeling. Inside, the ship tells a story of abandonment and resilience. Flickering lights cast long shadows across corridors where wires hang like untamed vines. Systems hum erratically, a far cry from the synchronized efficiency they once had. It's clear that the asterisk Aegis has been kept alive by sheer determination and ingenuity. It's the year 3075, and humanity. Well, we really stretched our wings. We colonized planets, mined asteroids, and set up space stations as pit stops in our galactic road trip. But about 15 years ago, something happened. Something big. They call it the silence. Overnight, communications between colonies just stopped. No warnings, no explosions, just an eerie, pervasive quiet. Enter Captain Mara Jensen. Picture someone who's seen it all. A seasoned pilot in her early 40s with sharp eyes that have witnessed the wonders and horrors of deep space. She's one of the last remaining members of the Interstellar Alliance fleet. Mara's been flying solo on the asterisk Aegis for years, patching it up with whatever she can scavenge. She's got a knack for systems engineering, rerouting power like it's second nature, and has modified the ship to function way beyond its intended lifespan. She's tough. No nonsense. But beneath that hardened exterior is someone carrying the weight of the past. The loss of her crew during the silence haunts her, and it's clear that every decision she makes is influenced by that lingering guilt. So, one day, well, if you can call it a day in space, she's running the usual system checks, scanning frequencies more out of routine than expectation. Suddenly, she picks up a faint signal. Now, in the vast emptiness, any blip is a big deal, but this one is different. It's a coded transmission not aligned with any known alliance frequencies or colonial signatures. Mara's first thought is that it's probably a glitch, but she can't shake the feeling that there's something deliberate about it. She runs it through the ship's decryption algorithms. Nothing. So she decides to go old school, manually sifting through the code, using cryptographic techniques that are ancient by modern standards. After hours, maybe even a full sleep cycle, she starts to pull fragments from the code. Coordinates. Not just any coordinates, but ones that point to a sector of space that's officially uncharted. It's a dark zone, a void on the star maps. Now, any rational person might log this and move on. But Mara isn't just anyone. The idea of finding the source of this signal, especially after years of silence, ignites that explorer's spark in her. She weighs the risks. The asterisk Aegis isn't in prime condition. Her supplies are limited, and who knows what's out there. But then again, what does she have to lose? She inputs the coordinates, initiates the jump drive, and sets a course into the unknown. As the ship prepares to jump, she muses to herself, well, old girl, let's see what surprises the universe still has up its sleeve. The journey is a roller coaster, to say the least. First, she navigates through an asteroid field that's denser than a swarm of angry bees. Each rock is a potential disaster, moving at speeds upwards of 30 kilometers per second. Her hands dance over the controls as she maneuvers the asterisk Aegis, relying on both the ship's outdated sensors and her own instincts. Then comes the nebula, a swirling mass of ionized gases that mess with every system on the ship. Communications, navigation, even life support start acting up. The screens display static, and alarms blare as readings go haywire. To top it off, she starts experiencing hallucinations. She sees her former crew members, people she knew, laughed with, argued with, walking the corridors, calling her name. They ask why she left them, why she couldn't save them. She realizes the nebula's electromagnetic fields are causing temporal lobe interference in her brain. She quickly adjusts the ship's shielding to filter out the disruptive particles. The figures fade, but the emotional impact lingers. It's a stark reminder of her isolation and the ghosts she carries with her. After what feels like an eternity, she exits the nebula and arrives at the coordinates. Before her lies a planet that shouldn't exist, a rogue planet orbiting a dim brown dwarf. The planet emits an energy field that's off the charts. We're talking electromagnetic radiation spikes, gravitational lensing effects, and quantum fluctuations that suggest localized spacetime distortions. She initiates a comprehensive scan. The data is mind-boggling. The planet's energy signature is unlike anything cataloged, a veritable smorgasbord of exotic particles and anomalies. Curiosity piqued, and with a healthy dose of caution, she decides to descend. The surface is an amalgamation of the alien and the familiar. The sky has a purplish hue due to atmospheric ionization. The terrain is dotted with massive structures, some towering into the sky, others collapsed into ruins. The architecture is advanced, with materials that reflect a level of engineering far beyond current human capabilities. As she explores one of the intact structures, her suit's sensors pick up a life sign. At first, she thinks it's a malfunction. After all, the atmosphere, while breathable, is saturated with unknown compounds. But the readings persist. She follows them into what appears to be a central chamber. There she meets Elias. He's human, or at least appears to be. Tall, lean, with an air of calm that seems almost otherworldly. His eyes have an unusual luminescence, hinting at something beneath the surface. "Captain Mara Jensen, I presume," he says with a slight smile. She's taken aback. "You know me?" "In a manner of speaking," he replies. "I've been expecting you." Elias explains that he's part of an ancient civilization known as the Echoists. They were masters of quantum manipulation and had reached a level of technological prowess that allowed them to bend the very fabric of reality. Their ultimate creation was the Echo Matrix, a device designed to enable instantaneous communication and travel across any distance via quantum entanglement on a cosmic scale. But here's the kicker: the Matrix malfunctioned. Instead of unifying space, it fractured it, creating a rift that disrupted communication across the galaxy, the event humanity knows as the Silence. The Echoists were pulled into a parallel dimension, trapped between layers of reality. Mara listens, her skepticism battling with the plausibility given the evidence around her. Elias continues, explaining that the signal she picked up was a beacon meant to attract someone capable of helping repair the damage. She questions why they need her. With all their advanced technology, surely the Echoists could fix their own mess. Elias sighs. "Our physical forms are confined to the interstitial spaces between dimensions. We can't interact with the physical components necessary to recalibrate the matrix." "But you can." Mara is wary. "And what happens if I help you? What's to stop this from happening again, or making things worse?" "The probabilities suggest a 95% chance of restoring balance," Elias replies. "But there's a 5% chance of adverse effects." "Adverse effects?" she echoes. "You mean making the rift bigger? Wiping out more of the galaxy?" He nods solemnly. "That's why the decision must be yours." Now she's faced with a monumental choice. Fixing the Matrix could bring back the Echoists and restore communication across the galaxy. But it could also doom what's left of humanity. She contemplates the numbers. That 95% success rate is high. But that 5% is a significant risk when billions of lives hang in the balance. She considers the ethical implications, the responsibility. Is it her place to make this call? But then she thinks about the loneliness, the fractured colonies, the aimlessness of drifting through space without purpose. Just as she's weighing her options, her communicator crackles to life. An incoming transmission cuts through on an open channel. Well, Captain Jensen. Fancy meeting you here." Her blood runs cold. It's Commander Voss, a man with a reputation as ruthless as space is cold. Formerly of the Alliance, he turned rogue after the Silence, assembling a fleet of loyalists who now operate as pirates, warlords, and worse. "I've been tracking that signal for months," Voss continues, "and now you've led me right to it. Much appreciated." Mara quickly confers with Elias. Voss cannot be allowed to get his hands on the Echo Matrix. With his resources and lack of moral restraint, he could exploit the technology to dominate what's left of human civilization. Elias suggests reactivating the planet's defensive systems, automated turrets, energy shields, the works. But the systems are ancient and require manual reinitialization at various points across the facility. They split up. Mara moves to reactivate key defense nodes while Elias works on locking down the central chamber. They use the quantum-linked communicators to stay in touch, coordinating their actions down to the millisecond. Voss doesn't waste time. His ships descend through the atmosphere, deploying squads of heavily armed mercenaries. Mara engages them using a combination of stealth and the facility's defenses. Turrets spring to life, cutting down enemy drones with pinpoint lasers. She reroutes power to create force fields, funneling the intruders into trap zones. Meanwhile, in orbit, the Aegis is on autopilot, following pre-programmed combat maneuvers. It's outnumbered, facing off against Voss's flagship and several support vessels. The ship's AI engages in electronic warfare, attempting to hack into Voss's systems to sow confusion. Back on the surface, Elias discovers that the only way to boost the defenses enough to repel Voss's forces is to channel his own energy into the system. Being a quantum echo, his very existence is a form of energy anchored by the Matrix. He doesn't tell Mara, but as he integrates with the defense grid, his form begins to waver. The defenses surge, obliterating Voss's landing crafts and turning the tide of the ground assault. Mara realizes that the only way to end this is to confront Voss directly. She makes her way back to the Aegis, docks with Voss's flagship under the chaos of the battle. Moving through the ship with the familiarity of someone who has served on similar vessels, she reaches the command bridge. Captain Jensen, Voss smirks. I was wondering when you'd make this personal. They engage in a tense exchange, Voss arguing that the only way forward is through strength and domination. He throws around numbers. How many colonies he's brought under his protection, the resources he's secured. Mara counters with the cost of his methods, the lives lost, the freedoms stripped away. She tries to reason with him, but it's clear that Voss is beyond persuasion. The standoff escalates into a physical fight. Voss is strong, but Mara is faster and fueled by a sense of purpose. They trade blows amid sparking consoles and blaring alarms. The ship has taken damage, systems are failing, and time is running out. In a decisive move, Mara gains the upper hand and disables Voss. She accesses the ship's core systems and sets a chain reaction that will render the flagship inoperable. She sends a general broadcast to Voss's fleet, advising them to stand down and retreat if they value their lives. Returning to the planet's surface, she finds Elias barely holding onto his form. He tells her that with the last of his energy, he's configured the Echo Matrix to seal the rift permanently. The Echoists will remain trapped, but the fabric of space-time will stabilize. She offers to stay, to help find another way, but he shakes his head. This is our penance, he says. Perhaps in another eon, the universe will deem us worthy of a second chance. He hands her a data crystal containing the sum of the Echoist's knowledge, hoping that humanity will learn from their mistakes without repeating them. As the Matrix powers down, the energy field around the planet dissipates. The rift begins to close, and with it, Elias fades from existence. His last words echo in her mind. The future is yours to shape. Suddenly, her ship's communication array picks up a flurry of signals. Voices, messages, data streams. The sounds of a galaxy reconnecting. It's fragmented, chaotic, but it's there. She broadcasts a message on all frequencies. This is Captain Mara Jensen of the Aegis. If you can hear this, know that you're not alone. The silence is over. It's time to rebuild. Together. The final scene shows the Asterisk Aegis leaving the planet, the once mysterious world now quiet and unremarkable against the backdrop of space. As she sets a course for the nearest colony, stars streaking past, Mara reflects on everything that's happened. She smiles faintly and says to herself, in the vast silence of space, even a single voice can ignite the stars.